Another brand new 2024 Legion is here in my house. This one here is the brand new Lenovo Legion 5i Pro. Lenovo sent this over for review. I was very excited. This year's 5i Pro is not a massive shift from last year's 5i Pro. They're going to be adopting the same chassis, a lot of the same specifications overall. Of course, it does update now with the 14th gen Intel processor. So as a result, if you're coming from a 2023 model, doesn't really necessarily make sense to jump up to a 2024 model unless maybe you're going from a 4050 to a 4070 or something like that. However, if you're coming from a 2022 model and you want to get yourself into 4000 series NVIDIA or potentially, a different brand altogether, lower end laptop, one of the advantages of the Lenovo Legion 5i Pro here is it has excellent cooling. I'm doing a comparison video between this, the 7i Pro, and the 7i Slim for 2024, and I actually compared lots of different things. One of the things that I noticed about this model here specifically is it does have outstanding cooling. So if you're looking for a highly performant gaming laptop with a nice robust chassis, really good cooling, nice RTX graphics, this one's here is 4060, you can also get 4070, nice processor in it. This one here has the i7, you can get other processors as well. So no more introduction, let's jump into the specification options for this laptop. Okay, and let's have a look at the PSRef document here for the different specifications. So you can see obviously the ports here on the right side, on the left side, and on the back. We don't have any Thunderbolt ports. That's one negative with this. You have to step yourself up to the higher end stuff to get Thunderbolt. So that's one of the areas where there's a difference between the Pro 5 and the higher end stuff, but overall you get good port selection, obviously. CPU, there's lots of different options here actually. You go from a i5 14500HX all the way up to an i9 14900HX. This model here I have the i7 14650HX, and you'll see it actually performs very well. I'm going to compare it to the Lenovo Legion 7i Slim basically for this year. With this here, the 14900HX, and the Pro 5 actually performs equal because of the thicker chassis. Might actually be up to the task of cooling these higher end CPUs, but you'll see here that even this i7, the 14650HX, performs very well in this chassis here. You get from a 4050 all the way up to a 4070. This model here has the 4060. I would personally recommend either the 4060 or 70. If you're going to get a 4050, you might as well step down to the Slim and save yourself quite a bit of money. 3 different screen options here. You can get a 300 nit screen, 1600p. You can go all the way up to a 500 nit, 1600p. The biggest difference here is that you're getting different screens on them. Depending on the price of the screens here, this one's going to be the best for sure. It has the 100% DCI-P, and it's a 500 nit screen. It's going to be nice and bright. It's going to have superb colors on that and great refresh rate, 240 hertz. But these other screens are all good. I mean, even the slightly dimmer 300 nit screen here is still 100% sRGB, 165 hertz, still good refresh rate. If the prices are similar, I definitely recommend the middle model here. And then if there's a big difference in prices, I mean, maybe just step down to the cheaper one there and save yourself some money there. Okay, and here's a look at the laptop. I had last year's model. I mean, I did a review when they came out, AMD and Intel, but fortunately I actually picked one up locally and I used it for like, I don't know, 2 months or something like that. I did some comparative reviews with it. So I've actually used the 5 Pro from 2023 up until like 2 weeks ago very regularly, almost as a daily driver, basically. It was about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So top looks exactly the same color. Got your nice dark gunmetal. This is a metal material. You can see that nice there with the ports labeled, just like last year. No real difference there. You get the plastic around here on the 5 there with this kind of design here. Vents on the back, ports on the back. And then the bottom is plastic. The 7i Pro has a metal bottom. It's not super thick, you can see here. I mean, there's thicker gaming laptops out there. There's also thinner ones, of course. Even Lenovo has the 7i, which I just reviewed, much thinner. But it's not like a thick behemoth for a gaming laptop. Now, it is going to be thicker than like an Ultrabook. For example, this is the IdeaPad 5i Pro 2024. This is also not super thin, but it's thinner, obviously. You can see that there, right? So these style laptops are going to be thinner there overall. Right? This would represent like a standard kind of 16-inch hybrid style machine. And this is the 14-inch model of the IdeaPad, just so you can get some differences in size. Because I've had people ask me, like, how do they feel? How does this laptop feel? Because on its own, I mean, I could talk about it in context, but a lot of people haven't potentially owned all of these laptops. So it's certainly not big for a gaming laptop. However, it's going to be big if you're used to like 14-inch laptops. 13-inch laptops, and it's a little bit thicker than even 16-inch. Ports on it is basically the same as last year. Left side USB-C, USB-A, speaker, vent out. Back side power in, 2 more USB-A, one of them is an always on. HDMI, your second USB-C, that one with power delivery, so if you're going to power a screen or something like that, or you're going to charge the laptop over USB-C, it goes in there. RJ45 Ethernet, right side, USB-A there, headphone microphone combo jack, and camera kill switch. So you get a USB-A and a USB-C on your kind of sides here, with the second one over there. So you definitely get some ports on both sides that are usable and on the back. I didn't find any issues with ports on these at all. Very nice. Opening up the laptop there, you can see that there. Very nice. Exactly the same as last year. You get this dark kind of gunmetal color in here. Very nice. The 7i Pro for this year has ever so slightly darker. It's almost the same as this, like a charcoal black. This has almost a hint of blue to it. It's hard to see on camera, but definitely gray, but almost like a last moment they just put a drop of blue in it or something like that. And then the keyboard is black. Last year, in the 2022 model, it was much lighter. The whole laptop itself was more of a silvery color with a silver keyboard. Last year, they went to this black keyboard and black top there. Potentially not going to buy a brand new laptop every year. They buy one of these, for example, and then they're good for 2 or 3 years or something like that, or more. Weight on it, you can see there, 24.48 grams, little over 5 pounds. You're looking at about 5.3, 5.4 pounds there. That's a really big charger, actually. So a gram on that, almost a kilo on that, little over a kilo, which is about 2.2 pounds, 2.23 pounds, something like that. So definitely heavy, but luckily it does charge over USB-C. Overall, I mean, the build quality is very high on these. They have some plastic in them, but they're very sturdy. Like, these things are built like tanks. There's no creak. That was my finger. No creak on it, right? I'm really giving it there. No creak on it. You do get a little bit of, plastic on the top here, but even that feels sturdy. So it's a nice feeling laptop, all things considered. Okay, so I took out the screws. Easy enough. It just uses Phillips head screws. Getting inside these is not as bad as the 7 for some reason. Don't ask me why. I basically just go like that there. I thermal pasted my finger. Go like that there. Once you get in that, you can essentially just pull it off with your fingers. Just like that. There's a little bit of a pinch point here, so I don't like to just, absolutely rip on it, but they're actually not too bad to open, just like that there. And there you go. It's plastic, but it's a firm plastic. You can see there's some structure there, some structure over top of the RAM so that the laptop feels nice and the inside of the laptop, it's more or less the same as last year. You can see here you get a decent sized battery here, so you should get pretty good battery life, 80 watt hours there. The 7i Pros have a 99.9 watt hour battery. These have 20% less battery because they're just a bit smaller. It's just the way that it is. Little Peasley speakers, they're acceptable is what I usually say. We'll see how they sound, but probably acceptable. You get Wi-Fi. You get NVMe 1 under this heat shield here. You get NVMe 2 under that heat shield right there. And then you get upgradable Wi-Fi underneath there. You just basically take out 3 screws and you open it up. And then in terms of RAM upgrades, obviously, you just pop this off here. This one here has one stick of 16 gigabytes of RAM. Lenovo started doing that this year. DDR5 actually runs in like pseudo dual channel anyways, so you don't technically really need to have 2 kits. It'll run faster if you have 2 kits, we'll put it that way. But if you don't, it'll still not be like single channel. So if you want to buy a second stick, what I'd recommend doing is buying this exact same. You don't want to mismatch RAM. Technically, you don't want to do that. So you'd want to buy this exact RAM there. If you watch my comparison of the 7i Slim from this year, it actually has a more powerful chip, an i9 processor. This here is the i7 processor. This actually scores the same or even very slightly above that because of the robust cooling. So, it doesn't have a vapor chamber or anything like that, but for an RTX 4070 and an i7, this is more than up to the task. But we'll see how well this actually cools when we get to that point. Okay, so the keyboard looks the same as last year. Let's open up a little note here. You get these black keys here. They do get fingerprints a bit, but they're not horrendous, I would say. Not fantastic for fingerprints, but also not horrendous. Numpad over here. That's nice if people like that. You do get RGB. We'll get into that in a second. But let's start with the typing test here. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I'm used to Legion keyboards. I'm actually kind of used to this keyboard because Very nice keyboard. You can see there the keycaps. They're not hugely tall keycaps or anything like that, but there's a lot of travel on them, and they're nice and snappy. So this will be one of the nicest keyboards you can use on a gaming laptop, period. You can see here the keyboard deck flex, like it's not really there. Plastic, right? So you can really press on it, I guess, and get it to move, but over the keys themselves actually less. Like you have to really get in there. When you're typing, there's no flex. Right? If you want to mess with the RGB, you can just, go through here, you hit function, you can go through your different modes there, right? So you can cycle through them by hitting function and the space bar. And you can see the different modes there on the RGB. You can tweak it, set them up how you want. Lots of different options there, right? So that's kind of nice. I guess we'll leave a blue static for now. That's really nice. And then the trackpad is good too. It's not a glass trackpad or anything like that, but it does feel smooth to the texture. Actually, this is less smooth. This is more smooth, and it's nice and clicky. Software here, you can see that you can do some GPU overclocking. Looks like I just tested that out before. You can come in here and you can turn it up to 200 megahertz on the clocks, 400 on the VRAM. Very nice. Save that. It does have Advanced Optimus NVIDIA control panel here. Automatically select. Optimus will be only your integrated graphics. NVIDIA GPU will be only your dedicated graphics. So if you're absolutely concerned about battery life, Optimus. If you want maximum gaming performance, NVIDIA, or just let Windows NVIDIA control panel figure it out for you. Typically, it's usually pretty good. Sometimes browsers will use NVIDIA graphics, and you can manually disable those by coming in here. You go to game mode settings like this here. You go to graphics, and then you can see what's using it. And you can, for example, add a program. So I could add one, and then I could come in here and say, well, I don't want Windows to decide. I want to force that to use, power saving, for example, or NVIDIA graphics. If you're finding that your NVIDIA graphics aren't turning off, relying on Windows to figure things out is never a good idea. So, but anyways, to make this work properly, you have to leave this on hybrid mode. So don't mess with this if you want to use the NVIDIA control panel. So basically just leave this on hybrid mode. If your computer has Advanced Optimus, you don't need to mess with that. You get other programs like X-Rite Color Assistant here. These are color calibrated screens. They're not just nice screens with good color space, 100% sRGB, etc. They're also well calibrated screens too. So you can come in here, you can see X-Rite here. You can set different profiles, calibrated sRGB in that. If you reinstall Windows, you'll want to re-download X-Rite Assistant. You come in here and you hit Restore Profiles. That'll pull your color profile back off of the Lenovo servers, and it will make sure that your screen is getting the proper calibration that Lenovo wants it to have. So that's a really important setting there. Other things you can do here, system updates, whatever. There's all kinds of stuff in here. Looks like you can do macros this year. I don't think this was here before. You can get a slightly less bright screen, and then of course you can get the brighter screen. This one here, we can come in here, 1600p. They're all 1600p, 165 hertz or 240 hertz. This is the slightly less bright screen, 300-ish nits, I think it is. I don't really notice that being a problem. I've used this exact laptop for months with 300 nits. I've also used it with 500 nits. If you use the laptop outside, you probably want to do the brighter one because you're outside. If you use it indoors, this is bright. So good red, it's a color accurate screen, well calibrated, and good color space, 100% sRGB. So the reds here are very vibrant. If you didn't have 100% sRGB, say you had like a 75% sRGB, 72, whatever it is, usually these reds come out kind of orange and muted. That's very common. Blacks here are really nice too. No IPS bleed. This model, I mean, you can always get by fluke, but I haven't noticed any IPS bleed on these at all, like this screen here in general. I've used it on many different laptops over the last, I guess, year and a half or so, and I haven't noticed IPS bleed on any of them. And all these colors are nice and vibrant. This will be good for even professional work, right? It's 100% sRGB, unless you are doing like extremely high level professional graphic design where you need like a Pantone validated screen. Very vibrant, nice and sharp. Okay, so if you have headphones, you might want to turn them down. We'll just go full blast here. Okay, so yeah, they get loud, very loud. You're definitely going to cut through fan noise. They sound okay. That's all I'm going to say. They're not fantastic. They're also not bad. They are very middling. Okay, and here's a look at the camera. It's actually very dark behind me. Looks like my cabinet is open back there. Awesome. However, I have an okay amount of light on the top, really nothing coming from the front. So this is a pretty challenging scene, and it's doing a decent job, to be honest. So, I mean, these Legions have acceptable cameras. They're nothing special, but they get the job done for meetings and that. They're more than enough for that. So, okay, I would say. Okay, now we're going to do some Cinebench runs just for noise, realistically. We'll get the scores after, but I just want to show you the noise difference between performance, balanced, and silent. This is performance mode. So obviously very audible. I find that the fans on all of these 24 Legions don't sound annoying. I think the fan design, the actual engineering of the fan structure has reduced, I don't know, like turbulence or something, because they're not as pitchy as they used to be. Let's go with balanced. You can hear it immediately get quieter. Right? A lot quieter. Typically when I'm gaming, I actually just game on balanced. You go silent mode. It'll take a second to cool itself down, but you'll hear it start to drop. Right, it becomes almost silent. Okay, and here's a look at some benchmarks. Now we can see here that the Cinebench scores are quite good. We have on the left here, silent, middle, balanced, right performance. On the left there on silent, we're actually getting very good performance, 18,000, despite the fact that we're on silent mode and it is actually very quiet. That's quite good there. You can see there in the middle, balance mode, you're only getting a little bit of a boost there. And then in performance mode, there is actually quite a big boost, up to 24,000. So it seems like if you're looking for good CPU performance, you're really going to obviously go with performance mode. And if you want the laptop to perform very quiet, you can actually throw on silent and it will perform very well. You can see here then the temperatures are actually pretty good as well. This is performance mode. We were running for a few minutes here. We did get temporary throttling here. You can see in the red. However, it does drop down once the fans kick up, so no problems there. SSD is obviously very fast here. It's basically a Samsung 980 Pro OEM version. Very fast Gen 4 drive. Wi-Fi is also very fast. 600 or so downloads, 500 or so uploads. That's about as fast as my Wi-Fi goes. And then battery life is going to be the weaker part of this laptop. You're probably about 3 hours, maybe 4 on at about 80% here. So it's going to be about a 4 to 5 hour battery. Just doing kind of mixed use here. I'm just basically browsing and just typing. Just doing 1080p 60 YouTube, you can see that the discharge rate is about -33. So we're going to get about a couple hours at 80% again. So again, we're probably going to get about 3 hours there on YouTube. So definitely not the best for battery life, but it is a relatively powerful laptop. Okay, so we're going to do some game testing on the Legion 5i Pro. So we have settings to go through. We are at DLSS quality. That might be a little low, but we'll see here. Medium DLSS quality. This game's not easy to run, just so you know. And I'm recording this externally because it's a laptop. So I want you to see what I see, and I want you to see what you would see if you played on a laptop. You can, of course, hook it up to external screens, but because it's a laptop, I think most people won't do that. So I'm going to record like this. Actually, it's getting about 60 or so on DLSS quality. Don't need to do too much in this game. So this is balanced DLSS on medium. That'll give you closer to 60, so you'll probably want that. We're at 1600p, so you can easily get away with, DLSS balance, and it's going to look basically the same. Yeah, it's going to run pretty well actually here. Let's throw it on balance mode. I just want to see what we can get out of it on balance mode. A little bit quieter on the fans, a little bit of a dip in performance. This is the type game that you're going to actually want performance mode. It's very hard to run this game, right? You can see it dip down. So this is a case where you're going to want to really let the laptop just go. Okay, here we are in Horizon Forbidden West. I'm in this beginning area because I've been benchmarking so many laptops in the past week and a half, and I need to have a consistent area. And I want to actually enjoy the game myself. So I will I will benchmark here for a while, and then I will continue on later. It's pretty good performance. This is just quality on high. Quality DLSS on high. Balanced mode. Let's kick it into performance mode, see what happens. Yeah, there's your jumping up to 60 now. Great lows as well, as you can see there. 45 lows. These Sony titles are actually usually well optimized. So This is a good area because it has draw distance issues. Still getting 53 though, 54. So we're going to go from quality up to, just balanced. Just a tiny little bit more. That's fine. And the reason is, because I want to try silent mode. This is the type game that I'd love to play on like balanced or silent mode. It's a little low for silent mode. You can see the CPU is pulling a lot of watts. It needs it, right? So it's okay. I mean, 45. It's a little low though. You could play like this, but I think you'd have a better time just throwing it on balanced here. Yeah, that's a solid 60 right there, just on balanced mode. With balanced FSR. With balanced DLSS. And so, what are my thoughts on the 5i Pro here? Well, I've had it for several days now. I've done a full comparison between the 7i Pro and the 7i, the Slim from last year. I've given this laptop its full rundown. Just like last year, it's a fantastic laptop. Not really much change from last year. It goes with the 14th gen processor, just little tweaks here and there. But overall, I mean, that means that it's still an outstanding laptop. Last year, these laptops could be had for actually a really good price, and they have excellent performance. It's kind of just right in the middle. It's a very, very nice, not overly expensive. It's going to give you a lot of the things that you want out of a gaming laptop, but isn't going to have extra things that you don't necessarily want. However, if you're looking at this as a professional, I mean, it does have a really nice screen, actually, quite a nice screen, so you can use it for professional work. Obviously, if you're going to be doing like schoolwork and that, it's going to be great. It is a little bit heavy to lug around with you, but if you're looking for portable performance, it's still actually relatively light compared to some of the options out there that might be, 7 or 8 pounds, some of those behemoths. Realistically, they didn't really change much. They didn't really need to. It's a revision of last year's laptop, which was great. I liked it quite a bit. I did a review of it, and then I actually bought one maybe a few months ago, and I used it for several months. I got it locally, and so I actually have a lot of experience with the 5 Pro, not just my review. I used it for many months. Personally, I tend to gravitate towards slightly thinner laptops like the 7i from these guys, but when it comes down to it, you can get these 5 Pros for an excellent price often. Lenovo's MSRP is a little bit lower, and they also have really good sales on these laptops, so keep an eye out for that as well. But even the introduction price on this laptop here, I mean, you're not really breaking the bank, whereas some brands, I mean, you try to get yourself into a 4060 or 4070 or something like that on a nice laptop, you can spend a lot of money. So this laptop here would be great for a lot of different people. If you're looking for just kind of a no BS, nice gaming laptop with a good, robust chassis, I mean, you get that Lenovo Legion warranty, which is outstanding. This may be an excellent option for you.